Microphone. Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Government Relations and Communications Committee of the Radnor Township School District. It's Tuesday, February 2nd, 2024.
February 6th.
Tuesday, February 6th. Happy birthday. 2024. It's been a long evening for those of us who sat through all the committee meetings. The first item of business is we have our student rep with us this evening, and we have a new committee, actually. All of us are new, which I'm going to use as my excuse for my flubs at the beginning. I'm going to go down the row. Mr. Thornton, DJ Thornton, Claire Girton, Janie Lau, and our student representative is Aidlin Morrissey. Ms. Girton is actually our vice chair of the committee, and I'm Sarah Dunn, chair of the committee. And every one of us is new to this committee, so it is incumbent upon you, Dr. Kearney, to educate us all, keep us updated about what we're doing here. So the first item of business, we've done introductions, is now administrative remarks. Did you have anything you wanted to say this evening?
Well, good evening, everyone. I also wanted to welcome all of the new committee members to the committee, or in the case of Ms. Dunn, welcome back to the committee. I think you served on government relations and communications several years ago. And
more than several, but yes, thank you.
And of course, Aidlin, welcome back. Aidlin was part of our last meeting, which was back in November. We have not met since then. So yes, we will work our way through the agenda, and I hope you'll find that it's a very collaborative process for the whole committee. On our agenda tonight, we do have a presentation about the Communications Department, an update from Ms. Teji Brennan, our Director of Communications. I'll provide some updates on legislation and changes to the school code, and if there's anything the committee members would like to add to that, they're more than welcome to. There will be an opportunity for this committee to engage in any discussion or feedback about a letter addressing gun safety, and I'll provide some information about this year's legislative breakfast and solicit any input that the committee might have about potential topics or other areas of that breakfast. So with that being said, I'll turn it back to you, Ms. Dunn.
Great, thank you. And just for members of the community who maybe haven't seen our meetings before, this is not an ad hoc committee meeting of the boards per se, but we don't tend to meet every month. We meet maybe 5 or 6 times a year. So that's part of why we haven't met since November. The next item of business on the agenda is public comment. And I'm just looking to see if we have any public comment in person or recorded. No, we do not. Next item of business is the review of the minutes, which is ironic since none of us were at that meeting. I guess, Dr. Kearney, I did ask former board members to mention to me if they saw any problems, and I did not hear from any of them. Were you comfortable with the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes, I was.
Okay, Ms. Morrissey, you were here.
Yes, I was.
Okay, thank you. Next item is the Communications Department update. So, Mrs. Brennan, are you coming up to speak with us? Great. This is Teji Brennan, who's our Director of Communications in the district. Welcome.
You
have to start all over again. It's very sensitive. Maybe it's not sticking, actually. There you go.
we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Happy birthday, Ms. Gordon. I hope everyone else is having just as fine a day as she is. I am thrilled to be here today and so happy to be able to provide this communications update for our department for you today. And Dr. Kearney is going to help me with some of the moving of our slides as we walk through it. As everyone mentioned, we do have all new members except for Ms. Dunn from quite a while ago on the committee today. So I thought I would do a really brief review of just who we are, what we do, and kind of then launch into the rest of our presentation for today. So what we do, the overall mission of the Radnor Township School District Communications Department is to contribute to the success of the district and ensuring effective communications through our district information through the district's communication channels. We're focused on celebrating the wide spectrum of our student activities and achievements through the district and throughout the district, and sharing those stories with the entire RTSD community. In terms of the goals of the communications department, we really are here to support our administrators, department, district-wide staff, really increase the awareness of our district initiatives specifically also, and then providing timely and accurate information to our internal and external audiences. So those are our primary goals. Who we are, I am grateful to have had the pleasure of meeting most of all of you several times already since the last time we met. And I am here also, though, to introduce the two other phenomenal people who are in our department. One of them is Nikki Crone. She is our video production specialist, and any video production that you have seen come out of our department, or really most of the district, is probably the brainchild of Nikki. She does a fantastic job of conceiving and recording and editing and producing those video productions, and she does a fantastic job. She also does most of the content creation for our social media. Again, she does a fantastic job with that, and is overall just a really excellent communication specialist. Megan DeVekis is our communications assistant and really manages most of the day-to-day communications office business, does the website updates for us, a lot of the graphic design in terms of posters and flyers and things like that that we produce out of our office, and PowerPoints. She is an ace at PowerPoints for us and for many of the administrators in the district. She has helped significantly with a lot of the PowerPoint presentations. So that's who we are. As a team, we collaborate really well, work on a lot of different projects, and just planning for communications overall throughout the year, specific things as well as more general initiatives that we would like to take on as a department and how we want to move forward with those. And again, they are phenomenal teammates to be working with, so really appreciate that. In terms of how we share our information, we really do have several different platforms. The first one I'm hoping that you're all subscribed to is the Radnor Reader. It is really our primary direct communication tool with our families. It covers district news as well as news from all 5 of our buildings, our schools. Last spring, we had a pretty significant redesign of the newsletter, and developed a logo for it, and really brought it more in line in terms of color scheme and the rest with Radnor branding overall. And I think we had a really nice reception to the way that we redesigned that. Excuse me. In terms of the reader and the subscriber list and audience for that, in 2024, we're going to do something different than we have in the past, where we are going to automatically subscribe all of our families beginning in the fall, so that they are just part of this very important district communication tool that we have, where before it was a newsletter and it was kind of, you can subscribe to it or not. At this point, it really has gotten to the point where it is a vital resource for our families, and so we think it's important that all families receive it automatically. So starting in the 24-25 school year, that will be automatically subscribed to from all of our families. Instagram, it is our primary social media platform, and we really do use it to celebrate our students and staff in fun ways and engaging ways, and highlight the work being done in the classroom, across the district, and really sort of everyday school life. We'll talk a little bit more about Instagram later, but that is really our primary social media tool. In terms of our website, it's our website. It's the place that provides the most comprehensive and immediate and extensive information that a family might be seeking for the school district, and that's where we do the majority of our information platform, and it really is updated on a very regular basis, so that we're sure that the information is accurate that anyone is seeking. And we also have a mobile app available for download that I'm hoping everyone downloads. It's a really quick and easy way, more so than trying to get to the website every time you're on your phone, to access the things that people want to get quickly, their lunch menus, their calendars, their just latest news, that kind of thing. And I am thrilled to say that literally just this past week, we were finally able to work with our provider to actually enable push notifications. So subscribers can now sign up to get push notifications so that they can get their important information immediately through the app. So we're developing right now a short video tutorial so that we can walk people through exactly what they can find on the app and sign up for those push notifications, because that really is just another way to get information quickly and easily. So that's kind of one part of it. What I really wanted to focus on tonight was the way that our department is supporting the district belonging initiative. As you know, the district is umbrellaing our district initiatives under these three tenets of wellness, achievement, and belonging. And belonging, we really feel like, is sort of the groundwork where the other two are really going to succeed. And as our department is doing, is we're sort of taking the concepts around the initiative and belonging in general and using them to inform our marketing and our promotion and our social media and all of our platforms in general. And I just want to give you some examples of how we've used that already and what we've done with it, and then how we're continuing to incorporate that initiative into everything that we do. So Sarah, I'm not sure if you were able to join us for Convocation this year, but Convocation was our sort of traditional opening day kickoff, and this year's theme was Belonging Begins with Me. And excuse me, this event served as an opportunity to recognize and appreciate the hard work and dedication that our faculty and staff and acknowledge their vital role in shaping the educational experience of our students. And this event this year was divided up in several different segments, each of which had a specific purpose. The first opening segment was a Battle of the Buildings, and it was a really fun game show type of event. And it basically pitted the 5 buildings against each other in a trivia kind of game. And what I really liked
There
about
were a
it,
lot of disputes about whether people could be heard properly, so
Listen,
be careful how much you
we-
bring it up, because
I understand that the essence of the game was, I believe, really team building, and in a way that each team represented different departments within that building. And so the way that those teams came together was really fun. And then on top of that, what I found to be one of the most engaging and fun parts of it was the audience loved watching their colleagues up on that stage. Like, really were rooting for them and cheering and applauding when they got a right answer, when they didn't get a right answer and somebody else did. There was like, no, there was such a camaraderie in the building that it just was, it was a great thing and feeling to have, because I think everyone in that room was feeling it. And so we did that with several of the segments during that event. We welcomed brand new faces, new employees to our district with a new faces segment. We did a top 10 list that highlighted several of our employees, again, across the district, across departments. And it was, once again, really fun to see those people up there who are really doing great things in their specific jobs, and having their colleagues cheer and applaud when they saw them up there, recognizing that they were doing really great work. And again, that sense of camaraderie in the room was really palpable. Milestones of years of service. We had 10, 20, 30 years of service that is really admirable. And this year specifically, we had a 50-year service. Yes, so Sharon Reardon, one of our social studies teachers at the high school, has been with Radnor Township School District for 50 years. And when she, what's that?
she said she's
Yeah,
only
right.
50.
She looks phenomenal, and I'm telling you, when she went up those steps with heels on to accept her award, it was such a touching moment. I think she felt it. The people in the audience really recognizing what kind of achievement that is. 50 years as a teacher, like that's a lot. So that whole event really, I thought, brought together our team overall through the district, and it was so nice to see. Everyone also left the event with new lanyards that had the motto "Belonging Begins with Me" on it, so they were really able to, throughout the year, have that as a constant reminder both to the students that they're working with as well as to their coworkers, and just a reminder to themselves every day that this is a theme that we want to bring through to the culture of what the township is, or the school district is. But the thing that we as a department really took to heart was the overwhelmingly positive feedback we got after the event, with emails from teachers, from administrators, from staff across the district. And the thing that came through the most was how much they appreciated what a positive kickoff this was to their school year, and motivated them to just have a really fantastic time with what they do, and to be able to recognize all of the great work that we're already doing and be able to carry that forward through the school year. So we really took that as motivation for us to do something great for this next year also, and to keep on continuing that, because what we want to do is have our staff walk into their classrooms, walk into their school buildings at the start of a school year and be ready to do the best that they can, and make sure that everyone around them is feeling that same kind of energy. So we were really proud of that event, and we thought that was a good thing for us. In terms of the posters that we see here in our building and in all of our buildings across the district, this is the most visible thing that we have done in terms of in the buildings. What we've done with the belonging initiatives, we really developed these with our primarily for our students, but really with our entire community in mind. The words and the examples used on these posters are hopefully accessible to our students. And what we did beyond just hanging the posters is to work with our faculty and staff to make sure that we're creating a culture where these words are part of what they're living on a daily basis. For example, at the elementary school level, we helped to create a PowerPoint that our teachers could use during their morning meetings, so that they could walk through kind of like what signage does, what you kind of learn from them, and then specifically speaking about these posters, so that the kids could really grasp what it is that they were trying to understand, and how that could become more part of what their daily life is. Now, with the older kids, we were trying for more of a peer message, just because I think we all can recognize that maybe some of the high schools aren't necessarily going to take that message as easily from teachers and administrators as they would their peers. And so we worked with a group of students called the Dignity Ambassadors at the high school, who had worked with a coach last summer to learn how to incorporate some of the concepts from our book, Belonging Through a Culture of Dignity. And through these students, through these Dignity Ambassadors, and using their skills and what they learn, sort of messaging out this belonging concept to their students. And we're still continually working with them on what some ideas could be to do that. But we just think that, again, that peer messaging is going to be stronger and make more of an impact than necessarily from a teacher at that level, at that higher, older kid level. As I said, these posters are the most visible thing that we've done, but in terms of making belonging part of our messaging in general, again, we use things like our Instagram. Can you pop back one slide there? Yeah. So as you know, our instructional calendar this year had included a lot of new holidays. And what we did was we took a look at a broader calendar and noted some significant cultural holidays across the board that some of our families may celebrate. Recently, those would be like Las Posadas, Kwanzaa, Christmas, Hanukkah, and took those, and with the help of some of our faculty, we were able to identify students who celebrated some of these holidays at home, some of these traditions at home, and then had them share those traditions so that we could understand, and the wider community can understand, how these holidays are celebrated within our families that we know, that we see on a daily basis. And we would record those and then produce a short video and then share that on our Instagram. And we've had really positive response, again, from people who are interested in learning about these new holidays that they may not have, or traditions that they may not necessarily have known anything about before. And then also the people who were, the kids who, and families who were able to share those traditions felt really good about being able to recognize the things that they celebrate and have appreciation for being able to share what may seem a little bit different to the average kid that they're sharing their classroom with. So we're really excited about that, and we've had some fun posts about that kind of thing. One more thing, the accessibility and wellness ribbon cutting at the high school. I think most of you were able to join us for that as well. We celebrated the official opening of the Accessibility and Wellness Project. And that really started when it became obvious that there were members of our student body and our wider community who were not able to join us to celebrate or to just enjoy our student athletes, either on our fields or in our pool or in many of those places. So we are excited that the project was able to come to completion, and to celebrate that, we had this ribbon cutting and really showcased those ramps and the renovated and now accessible bleachers in our Prevo field, and the elevator in the pool that takes you to the second floor, where there's a balcony that people that are using wheelchairs are able to now view pool activities. So it was a really nice event to be able to celebrate the things that we were able to do to make our campus overall a more welcoming place for our wider community, and of course for our student body who needed that kind of accessibility. Finally, our most public-facing platform is our website. And here we really try to make a conscious effort to represent our full student body. So when our team is out taking pictures at all of our schools, we really do try to get a nice cross-section of the students that we have in our district. And those kids all know who we are now. They see that camera, they ask, am I going to be the reader? Am I going to be on the website? Like, they know what they're doing. So it's really fun because that way they enjoy being it, and we love being able to showcase who our students are and all the things that they do and who they are on our website. So it's funny, I had one kid I was taking a picture of, and he was like, yeah, my aunt took a screenshot of me when I was on the website and showed it to the whole family. Like, all very proud of these very funny ways of doing that. But so throughout our website, we really do try to represent our students, our staff, and make it a cross-section of who we are on this website. In addition, both on our website and on our email communications, we have a translate button now. And we, in our school district, have over 35 different home languages. That's a significant number. And we want to make sure that all of those families get the information that all of our families should be getting. So both with an email translate button on the email communications that go out, and then as well as on our website, we have the opportunity, the option to translate the majority of our web pages to whatever language it is that you might need to translate it to make sure that you get all the information that you would like to get. So that is kind of a wrap-up on belonging and how we're supporting that initiative just throughout the different things that we're doing and will continue to be doing. And so I just want to take a couple of minutes to do a little bit of a hard right and talk about a few analytics just to give you an idea of kind of where we are with our platforms. Again, the Radnor Reader is our primary communication directly with our families, and it is a widely read newsletter. We have an average open rate of over 60%, which is more than double the average industry average, which is about 30% or so. So we know that people are reading this. We know, you can even see just from the dates, that when school's about to start, everybody's on there. But it is the place that when you hear somebody referencing a deadline, an event, or just some kind of information, it's the reader, which again is why we are making sure that all of our families are going to receive that come the fall. And then just a couple of fun things on our Instagram. I said before, it's where our celebration is. It's where we get to talk about all the fun and great things that are happening in our district. And so just a couple of quick statistics that I just wanted to point out. So followers, over 5,500 there. New followers, almost 1,000 over just this past year, which I think is really, we're really proud of that. But also looking at the shares, from there, what I'm gleaning is that people are coming to our site, getting there, seeing those posts, and are so either engaged with that or find it in some way interesting enough to say, you know what, I want to share this with someone who might not be seeing this. And so that tells me that what we're putting in terms of content is connecting with people. If they're willing to share that out because they're like, oh no, somebody else might want to know this. So that's one. And then also, see the profile visits where it's almost 30,000 there. So with the profile visits, I think it's great because I think it's taking people from that post that want to know either more about the school district or want to link to from information that we have in a post, need to go to our profile visits, or want to see other things that we have posted. And that's great. It means that what we're posting, again, is engaging people enough that they want to know more about who we are and what we're doing. And I think I like seeing those kinds of numbers for those kinds of things where we're engaging the people in what it is that we're posting. And then, I just wanted to share a couple of our top posts from this year because I think it's a good illustration of the variety of the posts that we do, and again, the variety of things that what people like. This first one cracks me up because it was such that's a fun thing, let's put that up because it would be interesting to share. And it has got the craziest number of shares, but I think people like seeing behind the scenes kind of things that they just would not know. It's like, oh, is that how they get snow off the top of our buses in the transportation department? And our transportation department is bar none one of the most hardworking departments that we have in this district. And if we have a snow day, if we have a delay, they know that they need to be ready to get our kids safely back and forth from home and school. And they are there at 5 in the morning, brushing snow off the top. And from my understanding, if this machine doesn't work, they literally use brooms and are brooming that stuff off or sweeping that stuff off. But this was a really fun post. So that got a lot of love. Our bocce, same thing. It's people really get a kick out of that bocce unified league when they do that. We had a really great post. Andrew Austin, who is an alumni of ours, came back and spoke to our middle school students, and it was a really impactful talk with both the students and the larger community, who really recognized Andrew for what he is doing in the larger community and appreciated him as an alumni. So that was a great one. Our ribbon cutting. I think people were so excited to see what was happening after all of this time and all this work to see the actual updates and renovations at the high school. And then we have a couple of just really fun posts. One from LM that was a sort of a TikTok trend, and then our September video that was one of the most fun things that we did, I felt like, as a team. And that song still makes me smile when I see it because it really, I thought it brought out some personalities of our administrators and some acting chops that I was unaware that we had on our team. And then being able to get the kids in there too. And it was just a really fun way to kick off the year, and I think people really enjoyed it. And then that's my thank you for listening to me talk about our team.
Thank you so much. Your team is, they're involved in so much around the district. And not everybody knows who you are because sometimes those pictures pop up and you send them to somebody. I didn't even know they were there taking pictures. Wait a minute.
That could be too, but that's when we're trying. We're like, let's get some.
I would love to see next year an update on the reader opening. I mean, I'm sure when you start adding all these people, you will get some unsubscribes, right? Because there'll be people who go, oh, no, my spouse handles that, or, oh, my kids are moved, whatever. But I'd be interested to see if your open rate stays similarly high. I'm the person who opens it in my house. My husband does all the paperwork, but I actually am the Radnor reader person. And I said to him, you should get this. He goes, no, I'm okay. But I think when he gets it, he'll open it. So, it'll be interesting. And I think the more Instagram followers, some people are late to the game in getting Instagram. And so, but it's nice to know that when they get there, Radnor's one of the first places they're seeking information. And I know a lot of the alumni. I have a recent graduate, and the alumni, I'll see, her kids from her class liking posts and stuff. So they're still interacting and staying in touch with the community that way, which is really nice.
It's a really interesting audience to see because, yes, it is parents.
Yep.
But there are a lot of alumni. There are a lot of current students. I mean, it really is a good mix. And there are a lot of community members also who are followers. So it is a really nice mix of people in terms of like spreading that message.
And Convocation was a lot of fun. The energy in that room was comparable to a large elementary school being told they get to go out for a recess. It was a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, we really felt that, and we were so thrilled that everybody enjoyed it as much as they did.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Teji, can I just add really quickly?
Sorry, I should have asked if people had questions.
One thing that I wanted to note is really, really wonderful to see our communications make the Belonging Initiative really be a positive impact, and it shows how social media actually can be really terrific. And I think that's a really good model for our whole community. So I really appreciate, personally, all the work that your team has done.
Oh, thanks so much. We really do appreciate that.
I'm sorry. So anybody else? Any other comments? Okay, great. I'm trying to enforce nobody has to talk. We can all go home at a reasonable hour too. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth.
Okay, next item. Dr. Kearney, are you going to provide us with highlights of the legislative update? And will you just give people a brief explanation of kind of why we get this from the DCIU and maybe what each of the little headers means? Because legislative actions versus new legislation versus co-sponsorship memos. Some of it's, just to kind of give people a brief primer on what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the DCIU also has a government relations person there who meets from time to time with liaisons from school boards and others to provide updates not only to them but the DCIU board as well on sort of what is the legislature and other government agencies doing that might impact education. So it's fortunate, I think, for us that each month they do try to summarize some news stories as well as bills that may have been passed into law, bills that may have been introduced into committee or exited from committee, just to kind of keep whoever may be interested aware of items that are on the legislator's agenda for various reasons. As I think you're probably well aware, most of the bills that are introduced never make it to committee, let alone become law, but certainly some do. And there's others by statute, like the budget, that need to be passed each year that have an impact on schools as well. So we try to provide the most current version of the DCIU's legislative update as part of the materials that we provide to this committee each month. Depending on when they're having their meeting, when these are available, we may or may not have the one for the exact month. So this one is from January, even though we're meeting in February. But eventually, we tend to post most of them and make them available. At the same time, when we take the opportunity to provide some updates on legislative items, whether they be topics that are introduced in the legislature or bills that have become law or specific actions that might affect us as a school district, we do use this as a reference, but we may pull things from the newspaper or other news sources as well. So this is a good reference. Very often, I or a committee member might highlight some items from the legislative update that are of interest. We typically don't go through it item by item, nor do we reference everything that's on here. It is just available as informational to you and anybody else who may be interested in it. So a few of the items, we do have some legislative highlights that have taken place since we've last met. I think most notably, one of the topics that we talked about periodically through the previous committee was the budget process. And the budget was passed, but the school code and fiscal code bills that actually allowed for the spending of new dollars for the budget had not been passed at that time, but they have been since then, and were signed into law by Governor Shapiro on December 13th. So there were some changes that came to not just the financing of schools, but school code with this new school year. Also, you may be aware that today Governor Shapiro gave his budget address to set forth some of his goals for the next budget cycle that's starting, including additional funding that he's proposing for education. But clearly, the legislature will have some say in that, and it'll go through a similar process as we did, previously. The budget should be done by July 1st, but as it was last year. But again, that doesn't mean that all of the nuances and mechanisms for spending the money will be. We'll have to see how things go. Among some of the changes to the school code and even funding that came through the budget are some that were granting granting some funds for school security, including an emphasis on mental health. Among them were stipends for school nurses, school psychologists, school counselors, and school social workers who are completing their internship in Pennsylvania. So these are people who want to become licensed to work in schools in Pennsylvania. There is some money available for these mental health professionals if they go through a couple of requirements, including committing to work in Pennsylvania schools for a minimum of 3 years after graduation. But there are some significant dollars that are trying to incentivize people into that. There are some other funds that are available for student teachers, depending on the school district, and typically in high needs, who might have trouble attracting student teachers, as well as an attempt to try to deal with the teacher shortage and retaining professionals, which has also been a topic of conversation in this committee in the past. I think the board may be aware that they've also been changed the school code, where school districts may now choose to provide either 180 instructional days, or choose to do it as 900 hours of instruction at the elementary level or 990 hours at the secondary level. So this provides a lot of flexibility for whether schools are going to count hours or instructional days as the minimum requirement. And for us in Radnor, we're still taking a look at what the implications of that are and how we might use that flexibility, but we do anticipate that it will free up some opportunities for us and allow for some changes here. There's a personal financial literacy requirement that's coming aboard as well, beginning with the 2026-2027 school year. Schools are going to be required to offer a mandatory course in financial literacy worth at least half a credit. That would be completed at the high school level, somewhere between 9th and 12th grade. So this is going to go through the regulatory process. We anticipate some more explanation and details from the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Typically by June or the end of June is when we hope to get some more of that information. But this will have an impact on our curriculum. We do currently at the high school have a financial literacy elective, a personal finance elective, and a number of our 9th grade social studies teachers include aspects of financial literacy in our government and economics course, but this will be a dedicated course. It's required, so we're going to have to give some thought to what that means for our curriculum, where we're going to place that course, who's going to teach it. There's a variety of different certifications that might teach this, and presumably we're going to bring that information most likely through the curriculum committee as appropriate in time for the requirement to go into effect. There are some changes to the school code, including the repealing the section of the school code that said educators were repealing the section of the school code that said that educators were prohibited from wearing religious dress, marks, emblems, or insignia as teachers or other educators. So that is now allowed. And there were some technical edits to the school code where terminology related to students with disabilities having negative connotations was replaced with more contemporary and respectful language. Specifically, physical or intellectual disabilities is now being used in place of terms such as mentally retarded or physical defect. So some progress there. So those are a few of the items that have taken place since this committee's last met. I'd certainly open it up to the committee if there was any comments or other items that you might want to highlight or bring to the attention of the group.
That last one's a recent change.
Just went into effect in January.
And I think we talked about this in the planning committee meeting. So I know we've had teachers who wore religious symbols, and I'm not aware of any district policy that would need to change. We didn't have a policy one way or another on those.
Yeah, I'd want to check policy to be sure.
Okay.
Not that I'm 100% aware of. I think it was much more falling under First Amendment, either the Established Clause or the
Yeah.
freedom of speech.
Depends on how you interpret the First Amendment, which way, so yeah. And I am glad to hear that they finally cleaned up our legislation or are in the process of getting that done. I was interested to see the transitioning to electric school buses. I know Mrs. Stern, for those who were watching the Finance Committee meeting earlier, mentioned that she had seen this in the legislative update. It'd be great to follow this. I wonder if she had seen, though, I noticed that it seemed like the grant awards would emphasize schools that had more financial need probably than Radnor. But it still would be interesting to follow and certainly something beneficial to the state as a whole, not just our community. So I thought that one was interesting to see and good one to follow. Was there anything else anybody wanted to ask about? So the other piece, I just wanted to make sure, the board gets these updates in their corresponding monthly packet. It's not just when the GRCC is having a meeting. So like the February update would come, no?
So I think the DCIU probably has a February update done. I think they're presenting it to their board this week as well. So we didn't want to post it publicly before they had the chance to
Understood, yeah.
address it.
But will the Radnor School Board get that February update in the February board packet?
I don't know for sure. To be honest with you, I can't tell you exactly what goes in that packet. I believe that they would
Okay.
get the items that we put on our agendas, but I don't know if they would get, and they do get you will get supplemental materials, but I don't know specifically what's in that.
So, and maybe
little-
that's something I can talk to Dr. Batchelor about. I know he has an excused absence this evening. Because I know in the past, sometimes we'll get 2 or 3 at once, and I think that's kind of like what showed up at the GRCC meeting. But I wonder if it might be more helpful for us in terms of keeping up to date on current matters, and also for the board in terms of spotting things that they want to make sure we're looking at if we got them in a monthly cadence when they're issued.
Is there a way to do that? You know, we're necessarily having a GRCC meeting, but getting
Like-
those.
Well,
those
we get board
packets.
packets monthly in preparation for board meetings, so presumably they'd usually be ready by then.
That's a good idea.
Even if it's just passed on to us as an email,
Yeah.
that might be a simple solution. So I think we know the person who puts
Yeah.
those packets together.
Tricia.
She's nodding and saying we can
So
have them.
and as a little secret to you and everyone who's listening, very often they're posted on the DCIU's website if you're very interested, once they've been made public once they've held their meeting and the materials have been made public. So there's sometimes, depending on the timings of the meetings, they may be available there before they're available here. And those months where we have more of these attached to this agenda is typically where we have not met beforehand. So we just usually upload any that have become available since we had last met.
Got it. Okay. Anything else? Yeah.
So just as a new committee member and also as a brand-new board member, I think, unless this is way too burdensome for me, I think it would be helpful, and maybe we have a cutoff, only maybe legislative developments that make it to committee. I don't want to do this for every single, piece of legislation that gets introduced, but for me, it's always helpful to understand if this has been an issue that we've grappled with as a school district or considered either proactively on our own. I know on a lot of topics we are very ahead of what the state as a whole is doing, or something that might have a direct, material effect on our existing policies or practices. To me, that's much more useful and interesting than just kind of a blanket update on every topic that our legislatures, feel like choosing or feel like doing. So to me, that's the aspect of this that I would find most helpful.
And I think that tends to be, Dr. Kearney, that's what you spot for. That's why we didn't go over, for members of the public who are wondering, this DCIU update is 6 pages long in a 10-point font, single-spaced. But, and so I think what he was highlighting, so for example, it wasn't even just things that are in here, but things that are specifically relevant to Radnor.
We try to highlight those that might be of general interest to our board members in the community, with those that we know will have a direct impact on us in a material way. So we try to emphasize those, and we will continue to do that. If we become aware of ones that we've actually taken action on, we can update that as well.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, and I'm just watching the clock because we did get started a little late, but I recognize that not everybody just loves to sit in this room all night. The next item on the agenda is the discussion on preventing access to guns in the homes. And I can give a little bit of background here, but Dr. Kearney, if you want to add color, we actually, a couple different members of the community, parents and other community members, reached out to various board members and asked if we were aware of this advocacy letter and if it was something that Radnor would consider. And leadership on the board decided and Dr. Batchelor decided it made sense to send this through this committee. you have more color you want to add or background?
No, that in talking with Dr. Batchelor, I know that he's considered reaching out to Chief Flanagan from the Radnor Township Police Department and discussing the possibility of sending this letter jointly between the school district and the police department. But we also knew that we wanted to bring this to committee as a discussion item to hear any feedback that you may have or thoughts that you may have about it. So you all have a copy of the draft letter, and we'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I think what's important to notice about the letter, it's not about gun control, gun legislation. It's really about gun safety. And the reason it was brought to our attention is there's a group in the community for safety surrounding guns. And actually, my impression, and I was not part of it, was that the district has actually worked with I know that the local Radnor Police has worked previously about gun safety. So this is about if you have guns in your home or if your friends have guns in their homes, it's about, making sure that those guns are secured for the safety of the people in the home and people who may be visiting. So I was told, actually, Mrs. Duffy was telling me that she's aware that in the past, Radnor Township has actually offered some of these locks, like gun safes or gun locks for.
Police department has, yes.
I'm sorry, did I say Radnor Township?
You just said township, but yes, the
I
police
meant,
department
yes, I
has.
meant the police department of the Radnor Township. It's, are all the same. We have to be very careful sometimes. Yes, so that the police department has had these, and I think that was part of why Dr. Batchelor was going to reach out to the township and ask if this was perhaps a joint communication that we might want to send out. But I'm very open to hearing feedback from anybody else. For members of the public who aren't looking at the document with us, it's a draft letter that was prepared or created by the REMS TA Center under a contract with the U.S. Department of Education, the Office of Safe and Supportive Schools. And so the idea was to help ensure the safety of our students in their homes and in their friends' homes. But any questions, comments? Did you get a chance to see this? Thoughts?
Well, I just wanted to reiterate what you said, that it's not necessarily a letter on gun issue. It's more a letter on safety. So I really appreciate it, and I think it is worthwhile pursuing for our community.
DJ?
Yeah, I agree. Just reading through the letter, it's solely focused on safety, safety of ammunition, safety storage of firearms. I think it makes a lot of sense, and I like the idea of partnering with the police department.
Ms. Lau? Janie?
No comment.
Okay.
The links are helpful, too.
The links are helpful. Okay, well, would people be comfortable, I mean, there wasn't really an action item here other than to review it and kind of consider whether it's something we'd be interested in. It sounds like it makes sense in a lot of ways for it to be a partnership with the police department in the township. So are we comfortable asking the administration to look into working with the police department? I think a letter like this would go to the full board for approval before it got signed. This committee doesn't make a decision, but I think before we took it to the full board, it would make sense to understand kind of the context in which it would be proposed.
No, I think that's the guidance that's helpful guidance, and I think we can act on that.
Okay, thank you. I trust one of us will get a hold of Dr. Batchelor when he's back.
Or he'll get a hold of us.
Yeah, for sure. So the pièce de résistance this evening. Tell us about the legislative breakfast. Maybe give the group a little bit of a background on what that is, what's expected of us, how we can help, what the district is doing.
Yeah, so I think one of the nice activities that we do as a school district and have been doing for a number of years now is hold a legislative breakfast. So what we do is we invite our local representative, state senator, and national representative to a breakfast to come to one of our schools, and it rotates from around all 5 of our schools, to have a breakfast, to sit down with both school board members, administrators, some teachers who may be there, and students. Typically, it's the student representatives to each of our school board committees, to discuss issues that we have chosen and decided to bring to their attention. So to give you some perspective of some of the issues that have been talked about in previous years, last year the 2 topics were supporting student mental health and teacher shortages and talent recruitment. Year before that, it was also supporting student mental health, but also charter schools and cyber charters. 2021, it was public education at the time of COVID-19. You can imagine how that got put on the agenda. And charter schools and cyber charters as well. So sometimes these topics do span more than 1 year. And the year before that, it was school funding issues, legislation to watch, and school safety were the broad topics. And then there were some specific items that are each of those. But in recent years, we've generally taken 2 topics to make as the focus. We put people into groups, mixed groups, to have some conversation about those, share out their thoughts, and decide if there's anything that, one, we want to make sure that our legislators are hearing from us, or if there's any actions that we think we want to take or consider as a school district ourselves. So this year, we're looking to hold the legislative breakfast on April 11th, starting at 8 o'clock, going till 10 o'clock. Breakfast will be available maybe 15 minutes before that, so if you want to get there at 7:45. And then very often we will offer a tour of the school, or last year we had it at the high school, so a tour of the new wellness center right after, following the breakfast, for those people who might be interested in attending. There was no great date that worked for all the representatives we wanted to have there. So on this date, Senator Capoletti and Representative Borowski are available to attend. Congresswoman Scanlon is going to send a representative, as she did last year. But we went through a number of different dates with all of their offices, and nothing seemed to work for everybody. So this looked like the best possibility for us, and considering our building schedules. And we're looking to hold it at Ithan Elementary School as well. So one of the things that we typically do as part of these breakfasts is have a student performance of some kind. And there's a class at Ithan that we think might be able to provide a nice performance for us during that breakfast, or towards the end of it in this case. So there's nothing you need to do now. Obviously, you're all invited. All of you.
We
But
can get you out of class if you need to come.
Thank you.
But if there are any potential topics or that you would like to suggest for consideration, we'd be more than happy to hear those. Please.
So is this event more student-led than it is school board member-led, or even legislator-led?
Yeah, I mean, led, I think it's, generally speaking, the administrators will organize the breakfast and send out the invitations, make all the arrangements for it. Typically, we invite the minimum, the chair and the school board president to make some comments. The superintendent would likely make some comments. But then the way we've done it, at least recently, is conversation among mixed groups. So it's a chance for different people to talk in small groups and then share it to the large group.
But do the students get to choose the topics, like the 2
Oh.
topics you referenced?
They can contribute. They can offer. Certainly, we're interested in hearing what they have to think about. But no, I mean, typically it's a topic that either the committee has suggested and the administration has decided upon, or we've brought to you to just get any feedback on. But typically, since it's the administrators who are making the decisions about organizing the breakfast, and often the ones who are settling on the topic in consultation with the curriculum committee. But we are open to any thoughts that students may have about what's important to them as well.
Yeah, I mean, to the extent, it's possible, I would advocate for greater student involvement and leadership with respect to an event like this, because,
So typically, though, this is about legislation we're advocating for. So it's not that students don't have anything interesting to say or that they don't have ideas, but they may not, they're certainly not as well versed as the administration about the challenges that affect education at a more macro level, that it's important to get in front of legislators. I think I think it's great that we invite the students and that they're there, and they, especially when we've talked about mental health issues, they had a lot to contribute and were very valuable members of the conversation. But I think part of this, it's an opportunity to bring legislators into our schools, and so we try to pick a topic that is really pertinent to Radnor, but that will also be pertinent to their other schools, so it's not just a, hey, here's tiny Radnor and this is what matters to us. It's a, hey, Radnor has the resources and the time to bring you in and talk to you about this, but it's going to matter to more of your constituents, and here's why you should be organizing at a state level or with your federal peers to try and change at a legislative level, either funding or awareness of these issues in public schools. So I wouldn't say that it's that students don't have a voice or have an interest, but I don't know that they will always know what the issues are, or be as realistic maybe as sometimes the adults are about what they can do about things. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, I just wouldn't want to discourage students
we had
from contributing, and kind of maybe going through us, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I want to make sure that maybe they could have a bigger voice and role in this type of event.
I think it's a great suggestion, and you know, I could talk to the high school and think about maybe there's a good way to get in front of an AP government course or the student council and see what ideas they might have too. So I think we could probably solicit some ideas from them if they're interested.
I think you and I had talked about this before, maybe when we first kind of did introductions and we said, hi, here's your new committee leadership. That some of the issues they're still pressing issues, but if we've talked about them a couple times to the same people, it might be time to kind of talk more broadly. One of the issues I wonder, and it's not exciting, I will, is infrastructure funding. You know, there was a huge federal initiative to fund infrastructure, and none of that money that I can tell filtered down to schools. And, you know, there may be initiatives at a state level, like even the electric busing is a good point. You know, they want to fund that only in schools that have financial need. Well, it's still a burden in anybody's budget to make additional outlays of cash for things that benefit our entire community. So if Radnor were to switch over to buses that gave off no exhaust, that's a benefit to all of Radnor, but it's actually a benefit to all of Pennsylvania, right? So isn't that something our legislators might consider, you know, broadening the funding for, or giving some other benefit or support? You know, people talk about getting solar panels, and, you know, everybody talks about the tax credits. Schools don't have taxes, so we don't have tax credit options. So there's no, you know, looking for those incentives for schools, which do operate in a larger footprint than individual homes, usually, to make that kind of difference environmentally. But actually, on a much more basic level, the fact that the state no longer really offers the same kinds of grants for school buildings that they used to, you know, that we can't qualify for, and I'm going to forget the name of the legislation, but PlanCon, yes, that PlanCon is gone, and we can no longer get the help that districts across the state used to benefit from in order to improve and maintain their infrastructure. But all that's money, and they don't necessarily want to spend money. Those were my thoughts.
Thank you. And you know, we're building a new school, and we have some infrastructure projects, so those would be relevant for us for sure. Yeah, and I would also say you don't need to come up with something right now. If you have some thoughts between now and perhaps our next meeting, by all means, reach out to me.
Did you have previews for us of what you're thinking about?
No, I was starting with just to see what you might be open to.
Okay.
But I anticipate that our next meeting in March, we would probably bring the topics to this group, just to, at the minimum, make you aware and see if you have any feedback on it, because, you know, we will have to make the arrangements to get the plans together for April.
Great, thank you. Okay, so everybody has April 11th on their calendars, or they will. The next item is new business. Anyone? It's a lot to ask for new business in your first meeting.
Everything's new business.
Okay, last item on the agenda is any live public comment. And I don't see anybody stepping forward, so with that, I think we are adjourned. We are planning to meet in February, or I'm sorry, this is February already. We are planning to meet in March. I don't have the date in front of me.
I think it's March 12th, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
That's tentative on my calendar.
Perfect, March 10th at 7 o'clock. We'll be back in the basement. March 12th, did I say 10th? Sorry, March 12th at 7 o'clock, here in the basement of the administrative building. Thank you.